Hi, this is Joe again with another video. Excuse me. Instead of doing my typical, stereotypical uh, review for a movie or TV show, I'm going to do, since we were on, since when today doing this video is actually December 29th, 2016. So I figured it's almost the end of 2016, thank God. And I figured to do a video of the top news stories that I feel in 2016. Now, if I do every single top news story of 2016, we'll be here forever. And I'm going to lose my voice by the end of the video if I discuss every single story. Uh, I'm not going to be discussing the shooting in the gay nightclub in Orlando, which is one of the big news stories. Uh, because I figured that story's been talked to death, and it's going to get very political if we discuss it, and so I'm not going to, you know, really go into it because it's going to go with the gun issue, it's going to be all kind of stupid nonsense, and I'm going to get into the whole gun issue. So I figured it's going to be redundant, but it is one of the big news stories. Well, a Muslim went into a gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida, shot up, killed, I don't remember exactly how many people he killed, but it's definitely one of the bigger mass shootings in U.S. history. So that's I know I'm mentioning him right now, but I'm not going to really go into full details on that. So I'm only going to really talk about three subjects mostly, and try and get through it as best I can and as fast as I can because I know I have a 1 hour video here. Of course, there's three big news stories I want to discuss. Actually, of course, number one is of course the presidential election. I previously had done a video of about a month and a half ago. I've done a video of the actual election itself, so please check it out if you haven't seen it. Of course, we all know that Donald Trump won. And of course, you know what we're not going to have is that all these Hollywood phonies are going to move to Canada because they're not going to do it. And it shows you how phony they are because they don't go through on their threats. At least if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. But unfortunately, like I said, these liberal Hollywood phonies are not going to do it because they threatened to do it 12 years ago when George W. Bush was re-elected to a man or woman, what the case may be, said we're all going to move to Canada if Bush gets elected. We're going to move out, or at least move out of the country. Not one of them done so. And it's going to happen this time too. And also, of course, the whole which I didn't put into my election review video is the fact that especially the Democrats, because I always want to have except for the presidential election, every election from the local, city, state, and federal levels, except for president, is the winner is declared by the popular vote and not by electoral college, except for the president. And the reason why that is because they don't want to have because when the founding fathers, and ironically, it's Alexander Hamilton. The reason why I say this is because the vice president-elect Pence went to see the show Hamilton on Broadway, and the guy who was the star and creator of the show lectured the vice president and saying, he's racist he's the vice president of a racist administration, all this stuff, and because they shouldn't have no business being elected because they didn't win the popular vote. Well, the reason why they have the electoral college is the fact that because the founding fathers and ironically the guy that the actor was playing was the one who came up with this idea, and that is they want every state to be a pawn. True, you only have like 13 states at the time, not 50, but they want the smallest states in population to be just as important as the states with the biggest population. So that's why they came up with electoral college, because if the popular vote rules the presidential election, it means presidential candidates, no matter who there may be, all they have to do is really concentrate on 3 states, and that's New York, Texas, and California. Because those are the 3 states with the biggest populations. And maybe Pennsylvania. Alright? So they have to just concentrate on those 4 states and the hell with the other 46. So that's why they came up with this system, because they want to have every state important, not just the ones with the biggest populations. So the guy who created Hamilton, the Broadway show Hamilton, fuck you, and fuck you to the liberal Hollywood, and get out now. Don't make a stupid threat and not follow through on it. That's my point. Moving on to the second subject. I'm not going to spend the whole time talking about the presidential election, because I did that previously. The second big story they want to talk about is, of course, the unbelievable win of the Chicago Cubs winning the World Series in 2016, which is an absolute. Anybody who's any kind of a baseball, and of course, I think this memorabilia behind me, I'm a big baseball fan. To have the Chicago Cubs even in the World Series, much less win it, is a joke and an insult to every single baseball fan around the world. It is. Because this is a team that's not supposed to even get anywhere. They're going to have 25 Hall of Famers to play every single year on this team. They're not supposed to get there. Just because of the stupid curse of the Billy Goat that they had. And also knowing that, but last year, 2015, it was the year they were supposed to have won, because of that stupid movie, Back to the Future Part 2, which they had the scenes had Cubs 2015 World Champs. So a lot of Cubs fans and gamblers all together were betting on the Cubs to win in 2015. Well, that didn't happen. So if they didn't have to do it in the year they were supposed to have done it, according to the movie, they should never even get to the World Series after that. But unfortunately, for all baseball, they did. I know, comparing this to the Red Sox story, when the Red Sox won, at least the Red Sox came from behind. I guess the Yankees were down 3-0 and won 4 straight against the Yankees, and then win another 4 in a row. So technically won 8 consecutive games to win the World Series, for the 4 playoff games, and of course the 4 games in the World Series. That was more of a bigger story than the Cubs story, because they didn't have that kind of a big comeback in the playoffs. They kind of had that in the World Series, because they were down 3-1 in the World Series against Cleveland, who at the time was the second longest streak of not winning a World Series, which was of course 68 years. So you had the two teams that gone along, and the thing that disappointed me as a baseball fan was that they didn't have the highest rated World Series ever. They got mediocre ratings, really. Considering the fact that it was the Cubs at Cleveland, the two teams that have gone the longest, I thought it was going to be like one of the highest rated World Series ever, if not the highest rated World Series ever, because of it. I think that because 2 times before, when Cleveland was in the World Series in '95 and '97, it was like 2 of the lowest rated World Series. But if it was Cubs and Red Sox in 2003, there would have been huge ratings for everybody. They expected to be huge ratings. But with the Cubs winning, there's something I know I haven't done that in the previous. I haven't discussed this yet, with the Cubs story anyway. But I feel that it's disgusting, because the city of Chicago, the Chicago Cubs fans, and the Chicago Cubs management, the Ricketts family, have absolutely zero class. What I mean by that is, of course, everybody remembers when the Red Sox won the World Series in 2004 against the Cardinals in St. Louis in a 4-game sweep, like I mentioned. There were a couple of fans when the game was over and the Red Sox players were celebrating on the field. There were a couple of fans walking around in Busch Stadium, or the newer Busch Stadium in St. Louis, or shall I say the second Bush Stadium in St. Louis, carrying a sign saying "We forgive Bill Buckner." Of course, we know what that means. Of course, I don't know if you can see it, but this picture is behind me. It's the picture of the Bill Buckner era in the '86 World Series. So the Cubs fans came in and said, "We forgive Bill Buckner for making the error." But it also took a long time for Bill Buckner to forgive the fans of the Red Sox for giving him all this grief. Which I don't blame. I don't blame him. I don't blame his wife, or Bill Buckner's wife, for feeling that way. Well, when the Cubs won the World Series, I didn't see any fans at all whatsoever, or any fans making a comment. And there was a documentary on the MLB Network called Joy in Wrigleyville, and when they interviewed a whole bunch of fans who went to the games in Cleveland, or at least the World Series games in Wrigley Field, and not one of them said we forgive. And they also briefly talked about the 2003 playoffs with Steve Bartman, who interfered in the eighth inning of the sixth game of the 2003 National League playoffs, where Moses Alou goes back to catch a fly ball and he has a reasonable chance to catch it, but Steve Bartman and a couple of other fans reached over, interfered, and that wasn't called. And the interference was never called on Steve Bartman. And of course, the Marlins ended up scoring like 8 runs in the top of the eighth inning. They ended up winning the sixth game, and of course, the next night they won Game 7 and they won the National League pennant, and they eventually beat the Yankees in the 2003 World Series. And the guy was threatened. He was receiving death threats, and to this day he's still receiving death threats, even though the Cubs won. So I never seen the fans say, "Hey, we forgive Bartman for interfering with the game. We'd like to apologize to Bartman for we'd like to apologize to Steve Bartman the way we treated him." That never happened. And the Cubs fans are supposed to be the classiest fans in baseball? Give me a break. And that's why I do not recognize the stupid shit, even though they technically won. I do not forgive or forget what the Cub fans did to this guy. He's still living in seclusion pretty much, even though it's 13 years later after that playoffs, after when he interfered. And he never received an apology from anybody. Not from the Cubs, not from the mayor of Chicago, not from the Cub fans who threatened to kill him, or anybody else. Nobody even offered an apology to this guy, and that is disgusting. Well, I know the Baltimore fans never gave Jeffrey Mayer from interfering. They never gave him, but at least the Oriole fans never threatened to kill this kid. Because the game did not happen in Baltimore, it happened in Yankee Stadium, and he was a Yankee fan. Okay, if the game was in a Yankee, and if he was an Oriole fan in Baltimore, in Camden Yards, and he interfered like that, he would have gotten death threats. But Bartman was receiving death threats. He had to have police protection. I know how long that went. The police protection went at least for a few weeks, if not a few months. He had to have police protection. He had to have security in his home. He had to have, like I said, police protection to and from work. That's because of all the death threats. I don't see anybody that came out in the 2 months, almost 2 months, since the Cubs won the World Series, that any Cub fan has apologized to this guy or said we forgive Bartman for interfering in that play. And that never happened. Well, I know that the Cubs management, the Ricketts, gave an invitation to Bartman to go to the parade when the Cubs had the parade in Chicago, victory parade in Chicago, but he said no, he's not going. Now I don't blame him for not going, because if he did, he probably would have gotten lynched in Grant Park, or the park where they had the finals when the parade ended in Grant Park, and they had keys to the city ceremony like they do here in New York for the in City Hall, but they did it in Grant Park there in Chicago, and and he said no, I'm not going because I guess because of the way he was treated. I don't blame him. I don't blame him for not going. If they apologized to me, I will have. If they had apologized, if the fans have apologized, if the management had apologized, if the city apologized, if I got letters from the mayor, the governor of Illinois, apologizing to me, I will reconsider. But since they haven't gotten a single apology, that's a phony invitation just to go down there so they can get lynched. Forget it. I know I went a little long with that topic. The final topic that I want to discuss for 2016 is, of course, which is the big story, is all these celebrity deaths. And we lost a ton of great talent and great people and everything else. And most recently, in the last 2 days, we lost Carrie Fisher. God bless her. And yesterday, on Wednesday, December 28th, her mother, Debbie Reynolds, suffered a stroke and died. And, particularly, I know there's a bunch of others that I could mention. I'm going to get into them as well. But these two are the two most recent. It's really, really sad. Because actually, I'm a fan of Carrie Fisher. I've been a fan of her since I was 5 years old, when I first saw Star Wars. So I've been a fan of her for nearly 40 years. And it's a shame that, coming up as the 40th anniversary of the original release of the original Star Wars film, and she's not going to be here. Same thing with her mother. I know I never did Singing in the Rain as a review, and I actually don't believe I did. It's just one of the iconic roles that Debbie Reynolds had. And she was like only 19 years old when she did that movie. The same age as her daughter was when she first did Star Wars. Both of them dying, and it's within a day of each other. It's really, really sad, and it's really heartbreaking. Especially for those two. It's really extremely heartbreaking. When Carrie Fisher died, she was flying from London to L.A. for a book signing tour, and she literally just finished her scenes for the episode 8 in the Star Wars series, and she was flying to do like a book signing or something in L.A. And she had, with 15 minutes left in the flight, she had a heart attack, and she was put into Carrie Fisher. That is, she was put into ICU. She was in ICU for about like 3-4 days, and then I guess maybe she either passed away or the family pulled the plug. We never really know one way or the other on that. I don't think we ever will. And it's really sad, and it's really feeling sorry for her daughter, Carrie Fisher's daughter, because she lost her mother and her grandmother within 24 hours, and it is really heartbreaking. Well, in the same week, George Michael died, or the singer George Michael, and of course it's also sad. But the thing is that George Michael is a drug addict, and even though he died in his sleep, he probably died from his drug use affected his heart and probably died. You can see, same thing with Carrie Fisher, because she also had drug and alcohol problems. That was in relation to her bipolar disorder. But George Michael, as far as I know, was not diagnosed as being bipolar, and he was a drug addict. Same thing with Prince, and possibly David Bowie. Prince died of a drug overdose. So I know why we have this as a big deal with Prince. The guy was a drug addict, for God's sake. True, he was a talented musician, performer, singer, songwriter, but he was nothing more than a drug addict to me. True, now musicians are drug addicts, but it still doesn't excuse. I'm not going to excuse that. I can't excuse that. Same thing with Michael Jackson. Oh, he was a great talent, great singer, dancer, songwriter, but he molested kids, for God's sake. He was accused twice of molesting kids. Michael Jackson was. He was at least accused twice. There was at least 2 known cases. Anyway, So to say how wonderful Michael Jackson was and ignore the child molestation accusations. So that's silly. Same thing with Prince. I mean, I'm not saying he wasn't a great performer and stuff like that, but to ignore his drug use and what he actually died of is a joke. Uh, there was also probably, and also Muhammad Ali also passed away this year with complications from his Parkinson's. Um, I think he also had pneumonia as well. At the time he died, and you're talking about one of the greatest fighters of all time, if not the greatest, and he was the greatest fighter of all time. But of course, he converted to Islam, so of course, for me, I use a little respect for him because of that. But it doesn't take away from his athletic ability. And some of his greatest fight, and so I'm sure you see on YouTube most of his fights anyway on YouTube, at least his bigger ones, um, all on YouTube, right? I believe they're all on YouTube, and particularly George Foreman fights and the Joe Frazier fights in particular. I think also the Chuck Wemner fight. The reason why I mentioned the Chuck Wemner fight because that was the inspiration for Sylvester Stallone to write Rocky movies. That particular fight, which is another story for another day. There's also and also the past year and a half, you have two people from Law and Order that died. Stephen Hill, who was the original DA on the original Law and Order show, who was there was like the longest one there. He passed away and also Fred Donald Thompson, who was, I think, the third DA on the original show after Diane Reese left. Because Diane Reese took over for Stephen Hill, and then you have Fred Donald Thompson taking over for Diane Reese as the head Manhattan DA. He also passed away. So you had, and he was also a former senator, and he oversaw the Watergate hearings back in 1973. So you had all these great talent, all these great people who and also I should mention. Alan Thicke died of a heart attack, so it's another one. Died, of course, going back to my first topic that I discussed in this video, which was, of course, the Trump election. The funny thing is that one of the conspiracy theories is that all these people are dying because they don't want to be living in the United States with Trump as president. I mean, all these idiots who go on YouTube, who do videos like I'm doing, or go on Twitter, or go on Facebook, come out with these stupid, idiotic theories. Oh, all these people are dying because they don't want to be, living in that, especially all the American celebrities anyway. They don't want to live in the United States with Trump as president. Because Trump got elected president, which is really silly and stupid and idiotic, and the less to talk about, the better. Like I said, this is really a sad video to watch. I mean, I did one yesterday, nothing to do with my typical reviews, and get still bummed out over that stuff. But I do want to say I do want to leave this bummed out video on a high note. And then I want to thank all my subscribers. I want to thank all the people who watch my videos, all the people who comment on them. For the past year, even though for a while, this year in 2016, I had to disable my comment section. If you want to know why, check out my commentary video, and you see why. Because I'm not going to go into that again. The less I talk about this idiot, the better. Or the stupid family, the better. But I do want to thank all my viewers and critics. I do hope I'll be able to continue doing these videos because sometimes I do enjoy doing them. But it also takes me a while to think of a new topic to discuss, and I do hope that maybe some of you could write in the comment section to give me ideas for new videos or on new movies or TV shows that I could do. The more suggestions, the better. And like I said, I do hope I continue doing these videos for you guys. because it's pretty hard to come on new topics. I did almost 600 videos on YouTube. Two not all of them are reviews or videos like this one. Um, but I do enjoy doing videos. I do enjoy talking to you guys. Um, because at least I have a forum to talk about this stuff. Talk about my favorite movies and TV shows and whatnot. And I do hope I continue doing them in 2017. So I just wish everybody a happy New Year, and want to thank everybody and have a happy New Year. So this is the end of my video for the top news stories of 2016. Please click on the video. Please rate it. Feel free to comment on it. Please subscribe to my channel. And please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. You can check out all my videos not only on my YouTube channel, but at rowdyc.com. That's OWDY. C.com. It's the homepage of the Rowdy Reviewer, Chris Lee Moore. You can check out, and please check out all of his content on his website as well. Not just my videos or his. Check out all of his content. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.